We take you back to our lead story in the Eastern Cape. That's where the Deputy President Paul Mashatile will lead the official Human Rights Day event. Our reporter Newzroom Afrika's Sipha Kema is joining us live from the event. Sipha, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Tell us about what you can see this morning and also what is expected, considering that you have the Deputy President who will be delivering the keynote address.
Well, Aldrin, we are expecting a bit of a long program today here in Kariega, which is where the official Human Rights Day commemoration is being held. Now, where we are now, it's at Ndulula Primary School in Kariega, where it's the first stop for the Deputy President as well as the Eastern Cape Premier, Oscar Mabuyane, and including Minister Kubai as well, who is here, and Minister Gayton McKenzie also here. This is where we are expecting to head over to a new netball court or multi-purpose sports center that has just that is going to be unveiled today. Thereafter, we are expecting to move to the grave sites of those that were murdered on the 21st of March in 1985, Langa massacre. But we'll get to that one at 9 o'clock, Aldrin. But for now, as South Africa commemorates the Human Rights Day, we ask whether people feel as though their rights are being met, especially for basic services. But what we found is that in some parts of the Eastern Cape, people's dignities are being taken away because of poverty and malnutrition, Aldrin. We went to East London as well as Kariega, talking to some people from the informal settlements to the townships about that. So this is what they had to say regarding their rights.
In a small, overcrowded shack in Motherwell, Kariega, the Willard family of 9 barely survives. No income, no guaranteed meals, just scraps found in garbage bags. Every Tuesday, father and son walked kilometers to Blue Water Bay, searching for food, rummaging through refuse, waiting to be collected. But one Tuesday, their desperate routine turned into a nightmare.
It all started last year when we're losing our jobs. Then things go. We don't have income, we don't have nothing here. So every Tuesday, we go to Blue Water Bay. People put out bags, the black bags. So we go and searching for food. Whatever we find, we bring home to eat. But this Tuesday when we go, we found black bags there on the corner of a corner house. And LT found her drink there between the black bags. And he drank it.
Alti died in his father's arms.
He said, "Pa, this drink is burning my throat." And I said, "LT, maybe there is some whiskey or something strong in it." Then he said, "Pa, why don't you taste you also?" Then I said, "No, man, LT, don't want to taste." Then after he's tasting, he threw it away, that bottle. But as we go up, we turn around, we come in Sipha Street. He was working. "Pa, look how I'm working." His eyes were big in his head. He was walking like a drunk person. And I say, "LT, there's no time for jokes. Come, we have to make quick for the people put out the black bags and before the waste truck come." And I look back and I say, "No man, this is serious." And LT, he want to fall and I catch him. And I say, "LT, LT." But I couldn't save him. I couldn't save that boy. He died in my arms.
In another part of the Eastern Cape, Duncan Village, Nomfundo Ndabeni faces a different but equally heartbreaking struggle. Her son was the breadwinner, but after being sentenced to prison, her family of 7 is barely making it.
Bengumntu ebezama utshintsha ubomi balapha endlini. Ngoba besanaphuma esikolweni. Bengumntu ebephangela. Ndiqala ukuthi ke ubomi buyatshintsha kum ngendlela endimkhulise ngayo. Wabanjwa wagqitya 20 years. Ubantu lebhayi ngoku. Ndiyasafara ke kwinto ezininzi kakhulu because naye njengoba ephayana funeka abe nokutya, abe nemali. Ndiyasokola apha endlini akho nto because umuntu ebeyitshintsha imeko benguye because yena usemncinci umntana bephangela. Ndinepressure ndineswekile akho ndawo noqeshwa kuyo.
The hardship only worsened since her son's girlfriend gave birth to twins in December.
Intombazana yakhe yazozala abantwana ababini amawele ngoDisemba nge-9. Yaqhubekeka i-suffering. Waya kuwesi because abantwana bafuna ibisi, bafuna ikhimisa batshintshe irayisi next door. Ngoba sobayi-7 sihlala apha endaweni eyi-1.
The South African Human Rights Commission says malnutrition has become a human rights issue in the province.
If we go and have a look at the findings that the Human Rights Commission has made over the past 2 years, it really reflects a community and a province that is deeply ingrained in poverty. Our communities do not have access to basic services. They are struggling to get water and they're struggling to get food.
Community organizations are doing what they can, helping those in need, runs feeding projects to provide food for thousands of desperate families.
So on average, we do about 3,500 people a week. We have now 11 projects that we run Monday to Friday. And then on Sundays, we also distribute food parcels that we send out to communities and to help struggling families that are in need.
After our first report on Alti's story in February, an NGO has stepped in. The Willard family will never go to bed hungry again. But for thousands of families in the Eastern Cape, tomorrow remains uncertain. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Sipha Kema in Kariega.
So, Eldrin, as you heard from the package, is that is the reality of some people living here in the Eastern Cape. Now, talking about issues of human rights, we're going to bring in the Minister now of Correctional Services and Justice, Mamkuluko Kubai. Thank you so much for joining us, Minister, in Kariega. Minister, let's, I think, firstly, let's talk about the issues of human rights, when we reflecting years later, do we feel as though South Africans' basic rights are being met?
Maybe let's correct facts. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Correctional Services is out of justice. Look, the issue of human rights, I think people sometimes confuse the rights as enshrined in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, which is guaranteed in terms of what we have, and the issues around service delivery. And I think we need to be able to distinguish. And when we say the rights are guaranteed, does not negate the fact that there are issues that we must deal with. For example, you would, as correctly said, you have the right that is guaranteed of your sexual orientation to choose. So a person who decides that I'm a queer, I'm an LGBTQI plus communities, decide that this is who I am and therefore I can marry. Those rights are enshrined in our constitution and are guaranteed and are protected. And that can't take away the fact that those are there. So democracy has been able to give us this right, the right to access to education. And others would say, do we have that education? Yes, the fact that every child in this country have a right to access education and is provided for free, it does not take away the fact that, okay, yes, there are infrastructural problems, but the right is there, is guaranteed. So if I walk to a school, I can't be turned back and said, you are not supposed to come to the school. So it's those things that we've got to be able to separate when we deal with the issue. The fact that I can walk to a clinic and say, I need medical health, access to health, and I'm guaranteed to be given that support. Whether there is challenges in the health system, it's a different case. So yes, 30 years down the line, we are still as government advocating. And one of the countries globally, when we look at other countries, even mature democracies, don't guarantee the rights that we are guaranteeing, the human rights that we are guaranteeing in this country and people are able to enjoy.
All right. So, Minister, just another one. Will South Africa, our country, continue with the ICJ case, even though the US is opposing it? But because when we look at even our own policies, including foreign policies, human rights, it's also at play here.
Look, the issue here, and I always say, international solidarity is a pillar of struggle. And we can safely answer this way. If at the time South Africa was faced with apartheid, and many countries, let's take your Botswana, Lesotho, apartheid government will go and bomb those countries. If they had taken a decision that we are going to withdraw our support to a majority of South Africans who are suffering under apartheid, would we have achieved this democracy today? I don't think so. So these people stood with us, many countries globally stood with us, in solidarity with us, despite the fact that they could face other things. That's why South Africa was banned from participating in international Olympics, because it was another struggle to fight in terms of ensuring that South Africa is free. So the democracy we have today, it's as a result of international solidarity. And in return, as South Africa, like Nelson Mandela, Tata Mandela said, until our democracy is not yet secured, until the people of Palestine have been freed. The international solidarity that we are doing for Palestine is a just fight. And what we could say, I don't know if you've picked up, many parliamentarians across the globe have been signing and standing in solidarity with South Africa against the US to say South Africa must be allowed as a sovereign state to determine its policies and its laws, and no country must interfere in sovereignty. And that's what international solidarity means. So the ICJ case, it's an international solidarity, it's a pillar of struggle, and it's necessary.
All right, thank you so much, Minister Kubai there. Aldrin, of course, giving us that feedback, but also most importantly saying that South Africa will go ahead with the ICJ case in solidarity with the people of Palestine. It is human rights in Kariega, Aldrin, but we will be bringing you more updates from the ground as we move around to different venues. We are expecting the wreath laying to take place just before 11 o'clock. Thereafter, we are expected to move to the stadium here in Kariega, where the official program is supposed to start. I do believe we'll also be given a moment with the Deputy President Paul Mashatile, who is leading the delegations here in Kariega.
Thank you so much, Sipha, Kema there, and stay tuned to Channel 405 as we'll be taking the Deputy President's speech live as he delivers the keynote address a bit later on today.